It's definitely an upper. It's definitely can be an aphrodisiac. Hey, what's up, guys? So what is mezcal? Mezcal is any liquor or spirit that comes from the agave plant with many agave varietals. Think about it the same way as you would wine, like wine grapes, Cabernet, Chardonnay, Merlot. These are different types of grapes that produce different types of wines. It's the same thing for mezcal. Most people think of mezcal as one type of agave, but it's not. It comes from actually a lot of different agave varietals. We'll get into that more as we go along here. But mezcal is any spirit that comes from the agave plant. Now, it's important to know that mezcal can only come from Mexico, and Mexico only. It cannot come from anywhere else in the world. And it comes from 10 states in Mexico, the motherland being Oaxaca. So what makes mezcal so unique? Well, first and foremost, because it comes from the agave plant. The agave plant is a very distinct plant with unique characteristics, and there is no other plant in the world that is like it. There is no other... That's good. There is no other liquor in the world that comes from the same source as the agave plant, and it is completely different from anything else that mankind has ever cultivated. The second thing that makes it so unique is the long life cycle of the agave plant. For example, if you want to make whiskey, you get some grain and you can make it rather quickly. And the same is true for other types of liquors. Corn for bourbon, grapes for cognac, sugarcane for rum. You see, agave takes at least 4 to 5 years to grow to maturity, but usually around the 8 to 10 year range. And wild agaves, anywhere from 12 to 13 years, all the way up to 25 to 30 years. So when you harvest agave and it's ready to make mezcal, it's grown to maturity, you actually kill the plant. You have to destroy the plant and you have to start all over again. Unlike wine and grapevine. Grapevine produces wine every year. You pull the grapes, but the vine doesn't die. The vine actually gets stronger and it continues to produce annually. Every single year, that same vine will produce grapes. But again, not the agave plant. You have to kill it. You have to destroy it to make your mezcal. And then you have to start all over again. All legal mezcal or properly certified mezcal is 100% agave and comes from 100% agave sugars. What does that mean exactly? There's no sugar cane being added. There's no sugar from corn being added or sugar from somewhere else that they're putting into your mezcal to either sweeten it up or to help mass produce it. In the distillation process, they're using the body of the distillation. They're not using the head and the tail. Sometimes you might come across some labels that say 100% agave, but I'm always one to question that because I've tasted a lot of mezcals, and if they're really harsh or if they're overly sweet or they taste kind of funky, usually they're putting something in it, they're adding additives in it, they're putting some kind of sugar in it, or they're using all of the head and the tail. And really good mezcal has a wonderful flavor profile. It has wonderful characteristics. And it's not just a smoke bomb. It's not just a smoke show. It's not just a smoky spirit. It's so much more than that. It has a lot of earth tones. It has a lot of natural sweetness from the agave. And yes, it does have the smoke element, but not all mezcals are smoky. Some more or less. It's cooked underground with wood and fire. So you do get that element, but I think the best mezcals aren't overly smoky. Now, I do like smoky mezcals that are high quality. I've had smoky mezcals that are terrible. I'm a mezcal fan, number one. I love amazing mezcal. To me, it's the greatest spirit in the world. But I've had awful mezcals. I've had the worst mezcals ever. And it always disappoints me because you just wonder what they're doing, how they're butchering it, what they're adding into it. But really good mezcals do not have to be overly smoky. That is not the only characteristic. It's not a smoke bomb. It's not a smoke show. Really good mezcals have an array of flavors. You have the fruit side, you have that natural sweetness, you have the earthiness, and then yes, you have the spice from the wood. So earlier I touched on agave varietals. So they say that mezcal comes from anywhere from 30 to 50 agave varietals. Myself, I've probably had about 15 to 20. But that's the really cool thing about mezcal, and you can really start going down the rabbit hole of mezcal when you start getting into the different varietals, into the different agave species. So one of the most popular species you're going to come across in the store and restaurants is the espadín. That's what I have here. This is my brand, Dos Gabachos Mezcal. I'm one of the owners of the brand, and this is our flagship Espadin. Espadin is probably the most abundant agave plant. You're gonna find it the most in Oaxaca. You're gonna find it most in the stores and restaurants. Most brands, they're gonna have an Espadin. The plant grows the fastest. It's the most abundant. And really, it's one of the best. I think if you had to choose a mezcal to represent mezcal, to me, I would pick the Espadin. I think it's the heart. I think it's the gold of mezcal. Interesting enough, you'll probably find Espadins on the cheaper side in the store, and you'll find other plants more expensive. Why? Because again, it's the most abundant and it produces the quickest. Now we get into some of the other agave varietals and they can get pricey. Why? Because they're scarce. Some are wild. Some of my favorites are Tobala, Tepextate, or Tepeztate. Sometimes you might see it spelled with an X or a Z. Favorites is Jabali, Quiche, Love Quiche. Mexicano is another agave varietal. Pachuga. Traditional mezcal is not aged in barrels. It is not a reposado. It is not an añejo. Will you find mezcal reposados and añejos? Yes, of course, they're on the market. But traditional mezcal, the way that I was taught from mezcaleros in Oaxaca, is not aged in barrels, and it's kind of frowned upon, actually. Don't ruin a good thing. It's already amazing. You don't need to put it in a barrel to give it some other flavor. It's already amazing how it is. Personally love traditional mezcals. I have had barrel mezcal. I've actually had a really phenomenal one in Oaxaca, so I'm not hating on that. I'm not against that. But I do think that if you're looking to get into mezcal and you want to learn more about mezcal, I think that trying traditional mezcal, try the single agave varietals, get into the spirit. As you start to sip each varietal, you will start to notice the different flavor profiles of each mezcal. And it's really amazing. You can go down the rabbit hole. You can spend a lot of money, but it's totally worth it. Maybe later on, try starting getting into the barrels, but we're not doing that right now. We're doing traditional mezcals. If you haven't liked mezcal or haven't tried a good mezcal, maybe after hearing this might get you curious. Obviously, I'm gonna let you know, this is my brand, Dos Gabachos Mezcal. I'm one of the owners. It's an amazing mezcal. It's done the right way. It's small batch. We work directly with the producers. So I'll leave you with this today. I hope I provided some good information for you. I hope I got you curious about mezcal. Or if you were a mezcal hater or you had a bad experience with mezcal, I hope that maybe this information has shined a new light on you. I urge you to go out there, try some new mezcals, try some good brands. You know, be careful of the brands you're trying. Not going to say too much. Get away from the bad mezcal. Find the good mezcals. I promise you will fall in love. It is the greatest spirit in the world, in my opinion. So with that said, pour a little out here. Heaven. Smells so good. Mezcal is meant to be sipped or enjoyed. It's not meant to shoot. It's not meant to take shots. Can you take shots? Of course, you can take shots of anything. Can you shoot it? Can you be having a great time? And hey, let's do a shot of mezcal? Absolutely. I'm not saying that you can't, but it's intended to be sipped and enjoyed. Take your time, enjoy the spirit, as if somebody would do a really nice scotch or a really nice tequila or even a nice rum, right? Or a nice whiskey. It's the same thing with mezcal. You're supposed to sip mezcal, enjoy mezcal, put it on your palate, let it swirl in your mouth, take your time, experience all the flavors. I'm telling you, it's alive. You can feel it on your tongue. It feels like your mouth gets kind of numb. You have a couple and you'll be feeling good, I promise. One of the best highs. I enjoy it so much. Mezcal is my favorite spirit in the world. I think there is no high like it. It's definitely an upper. It's definitely can be an aphrodisiac, and we'll get more into that on another video. Thanks for tuning in. If you like the information, please hit the subscribe button. If you keep coming back, I'll keep delivering you these videos. Thank you so much. Salud.